Have you ever let the phone ring, hoping it would go to voicemail, or frozen when someone knocked at the door, wishing they'd just leave? You're not alone, and you're not becoming a recluse. These subtle urges to retreat are a natural part of aging, and they're more powerful than you might think. In this video, we dive deep into the surprising psychology behind why you crave solitude as you get older, uncovering 6 compelling reasons that will reshape how you see yourself and your relationships. Watch until the end to discover why embracing this shift isn't just normal. It's a profound act of self-love that could even extend your life. Before we begin, I would appreciate it if you like this video, you can help me continue to spread the old age lesson. If you haven't subscribed yet, I recommend you subscribe and turn on the bell so you don't miss any videos. If you like this video, please comment number 1. If you don't like it, comment number 0 to let me know, so I can make a better video for you. Now let's get started. Reason number 1. Your tolerance for nonsense plummets to near oblivion. As the years stack upon one another, a remarkable transformation occurs in your capacity to endure the trivial, the chaotic, and the emotionally draining aspects of social interaction. In your youth, there's often an unspoken willingness to accommodate a wide range of behaviors and situations that, upon reflection, feel like unnecessary burdens. You might have spent hours caught in the web of petty gossip, patiently mediated family squabbles, engaged in aimless small talk that fizzled out without substance, or sat through exhausting monologues from someone who never paused to inquire about your own life. These experiences, while draining, were frequently accepted as the price of maintaining social bonds, a kind of obligatory tax on connection. But as you age, this tolerance erodes, replaced by a steely resolve to protect your emotional and mental space. This shift is not an overnight revelation but a gradual awakening, shaped by decades of navigating interactions that tested your patience, energy, and goodwill. You begin to recognize the recurring patterns. The friend who thrives on drama, the acquaintance whose conversations are a one-way street, the social obligations that leave you depleted rather than fulfilled. At some point, an inner voice, quiet at first, then unyielding, declares, "I've had enough." This is the moment when you stop forcing yourself to laugh at humor that falls flat or carries an edge of cruelty. You no longer feel compelled to entertain opinions that are poorly thought out or rooted in ignorance. You start to distance yourself from individuals who, intentionally or not, drain your vitality with their neediness, negativity, or self-absorption. This change is not about becoming callous or judgmental. It's a profound act of self-preservation, a conscious choice to safeguard your finite resources of time and energy. Through years of trial and error, you've developed a finely tuned radar for what can only be described as emotional noise, the cacophony of interactions that clutter your mind, weigh on your spirit, and contribute nothing meaningful to your life. With this clarity comes the courage to mute that noise, to set boundaries that might once have felt too bold. Walking away from toxic dynamics or declining invitations that promise more exhaustion than joy becomes a form of empowerment. It's a declaration that your inner peace is non-negotiable, a testament to the hard-won wisdom that only time and experience can impart. By prioritizing authenticity over obligation, you create space for relationships and interactions that truly resonate, leaving behind the clutter of nonsense that once consumed your attention. Reason number 2. Your priorities undergo a deep and lasting transformation. With age comes a seismic shift in how you define what matters most, fundamentally altering the way you approach your social world. In your younger years, your choices were often guided by external measures of success or acceptance. You might have asked yourself, how can I build a wider circle of friends? How can I ensure I'm liked by as many people as possible? How can I keep my schedule brimming with events and commitments? These questions, while natural in the quest for belonging, often led to a social life that prioritized quantity over quality. But as you move through life, accumulating experiences and reflecting on their impact, these concerns give way to a more introspective set of questions. How much emotional energy do I have to give today? Who brings light and warmth to my life when I'm with them? Who leaves me feeling diminished or unseen? Who can I trust to hold space for my true self? This reorientation of priorities marks a departure from the pursuit of superficial markers, popularity, external validation, or a perpetually full calendar, and a pivot toward something far more profound, inner peace and authenticity. You begin to measure the value of your social world not by its breadth but by its depth, seeking out connections that nourish your soul rather than merely filling your time. Surface-level conversations, those filled with polite banalities or recycled pleasantries, lose their appeal replaced by a yearning for exchanges that delve into the heart of things. Ideas that spark curiosity, emotions that resonate, vulnerabilities that foster closeness. You gravitate toward people who see you for who you are, not just who you present to the world. Individuals who embrace your quirks, respect your boundaries, and share your values. Relationships built on mere convenience, obligation, or tolerance no longer hold the same weight. You seek out those that feel like home. When these authentic connections are scarce or unavailable, you find yourself increasingly comfortable in your own company. This is not a retreat into loneliness, but a deliberate and liberating choice, a refusal to settle for interactions that feel forced, hollow, or misaligned with your needs. It's the freedom to say no to social noise and the wisdom to wait for relationships that feel true. This shift reflects a deeper understanding of your worth and a commitment to honoring it. The result is a social circle that, while perhaps smaller than in your youth, is infinitely richer, woven from threads of mutual respect, shared understanding, and genuine care. By prioritizing quality over quantity, you create a life that feels lighter, more intentional, and deeply fulfilling. If you are still watching this video and finding these lessons useful, please comment number 1 below to let me know that you are still watching this video with me. Thank you for your valuable time. Reason number 3. Grief reshapes your social landscape in profound and unexpected ways. Perhaps the most emotionally complex and least anticipated reason for withdrawing from social overload is the transformative impact of grief. As you age, loss becomes an inevitable companion on your journey. Friends drift away, pulled by the currents of geography, career, or diverging life paths. Loved ones pass on, leaving behind memories that linger like echoes in an empty room. Romantic relationships end, platonic bonds fray under the weight of time or misunderstanding, and even casual connections fade into the background. Each of these losses, whether sudden or gradual, carves a piece from the intricate mosaic of your social world, often leaving it smaller, quieter, and more contained than it once was. For many, this contraction happens so subtly that its full extent only becomes apparent when they pause to look back. Grief, in this context, is not always a storm of tears or despair. It can manifest as a quiet, introspective awareness of life's impermanence, a sobering recognition that nothing, not even the most cherished relationships, is guaranteed to last. This awareness carries a weight that reshapes your emotional priorities. For some, the cumulative pain of these losses leads to a conscious decision not to rebuild their social world to its former size or vibrancy. This choice is not born of depression or defeat, but of a profound clarity about the limits of time and energy. With every loss, you come to understand the fragility of connection and the effort it takes to nurture it. As a result, you become more selective, reserving your emotional bandwidth for relationships that feel safe, reciprocal, and deeply meaningful. This shift can be jarring to those who haven't yet walked this path, often misinterpreted as aloofness, isolation, or a lack of interest in others. But it is none of these things. It's an act of emotional discernment, a quiet acknowledgement that your heart has loved fiercely, lost profoundly, and now seeks only what feels secure and true. Your soul, tempered by the fires of grief, begins to speak a new language. I've given so much of myself, and I've carried the weight of loss. Now, I only have space for connections that honor my spirit and respect my boundaries. This is not about shutting the world out, but about curating a social landscape that reflects the lessons of your journey. Grief, in this way, becomes a catalyst for transformation, not only narrowing your social circle but imbuing it with a depth and richness that only time and loss can cultivate. The relationships you choose to maintain or forge anew are marked by a rare quality: trust, vulnerability, and a shared commitment to emotional safety. You learn to cherish the present, to invest in people who uplift and sustain you, and to release those who no longer align with your evolving sense of self. Your social world may be smaller, but it is a sanctuary, built on the foundations of authenticity, mutual care, and the hard-earned wisdom that comes from navigating the delicate balance of love and loss. Reason number 4. The profound weight of social fatigue. Social fatigue, as it manifests in later life, is far more than the temporary exhaustion that a short nap or a double espresso can dispel. It's a deep, pervasive psychological weariness, a kind of soul-level depletion that accumulates over decades of navigating the intricate, often draining terrain of human relationships. Imagine a lifetime spent as a social tightrope walker, balancing the needs, egos, and expectations of countless individuals. Friends, family, colleagues, neighbors, and even strangers. You've played an array of roles, The empathetic listener who nods patiently through a friend's hour-long rant, the diplomat who diffuses tensions at a family dinner, the cheerful entertainer who keeps the conversation flowing at a party despite your fatigue. You've accommodated others' quirks, adjusting your schedule for their convenience, biting your tongue during their offhand remarks, or feigning interest in topics that bore you. Each of these moments, while sometimes rewarding, extracts a subtle toll, like tiny withdrawals from an emotional bank account. Over time, these withdrawals compound, leaving you with a reservoir of energy that no longer replenishes as effortlessly as it once did. Picture a seemingly simple scenario: a one-hour lunch with an acquaintance who talks incessantly, their stories spiraling into tangents about their job, their vacation, their neighbor's dog. Their enthusiasm, while well-meaning, floods your mental space, leaving you so mentally foggy that you spend the rest of the afternoon struggling to focus on even the simplest tasks. Or consider a boisterous family gathering, where overlapping conversations create a cacophony of demands on your attention. Your brother's passionate political monologue, your aunt's detailed recounting of her recent surgery, your teenage niece's rapid-fire updates about her social life. What might have once felt like an energizing social tapestry now resembles a grueling mental triathlon, each interaction requiring you to summon reserves of patience, focus, and emotional bandwidth. The aftermath? A craving for silence, a desperate need to retreat to a quiet corner of your world to recalibrate. As a result, you begin to approach social invitations with a new lens, not with cynicism, but with caution. You decline the casual coffee date that feels more like a duty than a delight. You skip the neighborhood potluck that promises hours of small talk with people you barely know. Instead, you prioritize rest, solitude, and activities that restore rather than deplete. This shift isn't about shutting people out. It's about recognizing that your peace is a sacred, finite resource, one you've earned through years of giving yourself to others. Protecting that peace becomes a form of self-preservation, a quiet rebellion against the societal expectation to always be on. You guard it with the ferocity of someone who knows its true value, because you've learned the hard way how quickly it can slip away. The misunderstood sanctuary of solitude. Let's confront a truth that society rarely dares to voice, often because it challenges deeply entrenched cultural myths. Older individuals are not inherently lonely, and many find profound, soul-deep contentment in their own company. Popular narratives, perpetuated by media, self-help books, and well-meaning loved ones, insist that happiness hinges on constant connection. We're bombarded with images of fulfilled lives defined by crowded dinner tables, lively group outings, and endless social engagements. The message is clear: the more people surround you, the richer your life must be. But this oversimplified prescription ignores a deeper, more nuanced reality. True connection isn't always about physical proximity or a packed calendar. For many, the most meaningful connection is an intimate, uninterrupted dialogue with oneself, a space where external demands fade and the inner self can breathe. Imagine the tranquil joy of sitting alone on a porch at dawn, a steaming mug of tea warming your hands as you listen to the gentle rustle of leaves and the distant trill of birds. Picture the quiet satisfaction of curling up with a worn novel, its pages transporting you to another world as your thoughts weave freely with the story, unburdened by the need to respond or perform. Or envision the simple act of sitting in a favorite armchair, staring at a blank wall as your mind wanders through memories, dreams, or nothing at all. No agenda, no audience, no explanations required. These moments of solitude are not barren or isolating. They are vibrant, restorative, and deeply fulfilling. They offer a sanctuary where you can reconnect with your essence, unfiltered by the noise of others' expectations or opinions. Society often misreads this preference for solitude as withdrawal, a sign of loneliness or disengagement. But nothing could be further from the truth. Choosing solitude is not about avoidance. It's about evolution. It's the realization that your inner world is a rich, dynamic landscape, worthy of exploration and celebration. It's the confidence to enjoy your thoughts, to savor the rhythm of your existence without needing external validation. Far from being a retreat from life, this embrace of solitude is a bold affirmation of your right to define what connection means to you. It's a quiet revolution, a reclaiming of your time and energy for what truly nourishes your soul. If you are still watching this video and finding these lessons useful, please comment number 2 below to let me know that you are still watching this video with me. Thank you for your valuable time. There's a fifth reason people avoid others more as they age, and it's a powerful one. As you journey through life, you acquire a remarkable gift, one that deepens with each passing year: self-awareness. This isn't the fleeting self-assurance of youth, often tethered to external approval or untested ideals, but a profound, battle-tested understanding of who you are at your core. Through decades of triumphs, failures, joys, and heartaches, you've mapped the contours of your inner landscape. You know what lights up your spirit: a heartfelt conversation with a kindred soul, a solitary hike through a forest, the satisfaction of creating something with your hands. You recognize what drains you: endless small talk about trivialities, confrontational debates, or environments that feel chaotic or inauthentic. You've identified your triggers, your limits, and the subtle cues that signal when you're stretching yourself too thin. With this clarity comes a powerful instinct to protect your well-being. You no longer feel compelled to say yes to every invitation or tolerate dynamics that clash with your nature. If superficial chit-chat about the weather or celebrity gossip leaves you feeling hollow, you gracefully steer conversations toward deeper waters or opt out altogether, seeking exchanges that resonate with your values or passions. If certain individuals, perhaps unintentionally, evoke stress, resurface old wounds, or disrupt your emotional equilibrium, you create boundaries. This might mean limiting contact, declining invitations, or redirecting interactions to neutral ground. These choices aren't about punishing others or holding grudges. They're about honoring the peace you've worked so hard to cultivate. Consider a friend who, despite your affection for them, has a habit of revisiting painful topics from your past, leaving you unsettled for days. In your younger years, you might have endured these conversations out of loyalty or fear of seeming unkind. But with age and self-awareness, you recognize the cost to your mental health and choose to distance yourself, not out of malice, but out of self-respect. This selective approach to social engagement is a form of quiet strength, a testament to the wisdom you've earned through experience. It's the courage to say, "This doesn't align with who I am," and to act on that truth without apology. By curating your interactions with intention, you're not just protecting your energy. You're affirming your right to live authentically, in alignment with the person you become. Reason number 6. The sacred value of time. As the years accumulate, your relationship with time undergoes a seismic shift, one that reshapes how you navigate the world. In your 20s, an hour feels like a fleeting blip, an abundant resource you might spend without much thought. Scrolling through social media, lingering in a pleasant but unremarkable conversation, or attending an event out of obligation. But by the time you reach your 60s, 70s, or beyond, an hour transforms into a precious jewel, each one imbued with a weight and brilliance that demands reverence. You become acutely aware of time's finite nature, its relentless march forward, and the reality that your remaining hours are a limited currency. This awareness sharpens your mindfulness, compelling you to consider not just how you spend your time, but who you share it with and whether it leaves you feeling enriched or diminished. Every social commitment, whether it's a coffee date with a friend, a phone call with a relative, or a weekend visit with family, carries a dual cost: time and energy. A 2-hour dinner with a friend who uplifts you, who listens as deeply as they share, might leave you feeling invigorated, your heart full. But a brief encounter with someone who monopolizes the conversation with complaints or negativity can cast a shadow over your entire day, sapping your mental clarity and emotional reserves. As a result, you become a discerning steward of your time, investing it with the care of a seasoned curator. You choose interactions that align with your values, that spark joy or meaning, and you let go of those that feel like obligations or energy sinks. Sometimes this means choosing solitude over company, not because you've grown to dislike people, but because you've learned to love yourself enough to be selective. You might opt for an evening alone, savoring the simple pleasure of a home-cooked meal, a favorite album playing softly in the background, or a quiet walk at dusk, the sky ablaze with colors that feel like a private gift. These moments recharge you in ways that a crowded social event rarely can. This shift reflects a profound respect for the life you've built, the lessons you've learned, and the time you have left to live it fully. It's not a rejection of connection, but a celebration of your right to choose how, when, and with whom you share your most precious resource. Navigating the misunderstandings of others. As you embrace these shifts, prioritizing peace, savoring solitude, curating your time with intention, those around you may struggle to make sense of your choices. Friends might remark that you've become less social, their tone tinged with concern or judgment. Family members might label you as withdrawn, reminiscing about the old you, who never missed a gathering or shied away from a lively debate. Society itself might subtly shame you, perpetuating the narrative that a preference for quieter moments signals loneliness, isolation, or a failure to thrive. But here's the unfiltered truth. they're right about one thing: you have changed. And that's the entire point. You're not the same person who once thrived on being the life of every party, who said yes to every invitation out of duty, or who prioritized others' comfort over your well-being. You've evolved into someone who values authenticity over performance, depth over distraction, and peace over chaos. This transformation isn't about shutting out the world or rejecting the people you care about. It's about redefining what connection means to you, about crafting a life that reflects your truest self. It's about saying no without guilt, saying yes only when it resonates deeply, and releasing the need to justify your choices to anyone. You didn't endure decades of life's highs and lows, its moments of triumph, heartbreak, growth, and resilience, just to conform to someone else's vision of who you should be. You're not here to entertain, to placate, or to keep everyone else comfortable at the expense of your peace. You're here to live authentically, to honor your feelings, and to make choices that align with the wisdom you've earned. In this sense, your shift towards selectivity and solitude is not a retreat but a triumph. It's the culmination of a life lived with courage, reflection, and intention. You're not rude or aloof, you're real. And with each passing year, that authenticity becomes more sacred, a living testament to your right to define what it means to live well. You've earned the freedom to protect your peace, to savor your own company, and to invest your time in ways that honor the person you've become. That's not just a choice, it's a legacy. If you are still watching this video and finding these lessons useful, please comment number 3 below to let me know that you are still watching this video with me. Thank you for your valuable time. As we journey through the later stages of life, a profound transformation begins to unfold, one that reshapes not only how we interact with the world but also how we perceive ourselves within it. This shift in social behavior, often mistaken for withdrawal or aloofness, is far more than a simple desire to protect your time or sidestep stress. It's a reclamation of clarity, a deliberate recalibration of priorities, and a quiet rebellion against the expectations that once tethered you to a life of obligation. It's about stepping into a sharper, more intentional version of yourself, one that sees through the haze of superficiality with a precision honed by decades of experience. This newfound clarity isn't about memory or cognitive sharpness in the traditional sense. It's a deeper kind of awareness, a heightened sensitivity to the subtleties of human interaction. With age, you develop an almost instinctual ability to cut through the noise. The insincere smiles, the carefully crafted flattery, the friendships that drain more than they nourish, these become transparent almost instantly. Where once it might have taken months of tension or a dramatic fallout to recognize a misalignment, now a single conversation can lay bare everything you need to know. You hear the undertones, notice the discrepancies, and sense the unspoken motives. This awareness, while liberating, can also be exhausting. The social game, once played with enthusiasm or at least tolerance, starts to feel like a performance you no longer have the energy to sustain. So, you step back. You simplify. You let go of the compulsion to justify your choices, to explain why you left the gathering early or didn't return that call. You no longer feel indebted to offer your presence just because it was once expected. From the outside, this might look like isolation. But from within, it's a profound relief, a shedding of burdens you didn't even realize you were carrying. This shift also stems from a reevaluation of emotional labor, a role many of us take on without question in our younger years. Perhaps you were the family peacemaker, smoothing over conflicts and mending fractured relationships. Maybe you were the friend who always reached out first, the one who remembered birthdays, planned gatherings, and kept the connections alive. For years, you were the glue holding your social world together. But after decades of pouring yourself into others, a quiet question begins to surface. Who's holding me together? If the answer is no one, or if the answer is only you, something shifts. You begin to step out of that role, not out of resentment or to punish anyone, but to honor your own needs. You stop betraying yourself for the sake of keeping others comfortable. People-pleasing, once a reflex, gives way to a fierce commitment to your peace of mind. And yes, this change can ripple outward in ways that unsettle your social circle. Some people may drift away when you stop carrying their weight. But those who remain, those who meet you in this new, more authentic space, are invaluable. They're the ones who see you, not as a role or a resource, but as a person. They're gold. The physical realities of aging play an undeniable role in this transformation as well. The body, once a reliable ally, begins to assert its limitations. You tire more quickly. Crowded, noisy environments, once invigorating, now feel overwhelming, grating against your senses. Joints ache, muscles stiffen, and your back demands a chair with proper support. Suddenly, the prospect of a 2-hour dinner with a large group doesn't spark excitement. It feels like an endurance test. This physical strain, compounded by mental fatigue, elevates the value of quiet, restorative time. A cozy evening at home, a solitary walk, or a low-key coffee with a trusted friend becomes infinitely more appealing than a packed social calendar. So, you adapt. You decline invitations that feel like obligations. You gravitate toward early afternoons instead of late nights. You design a life that accommodates your body's needs rather than forcing your body to conform to a lifestyle that no longer fits. This isn't about giving up, it's about listening to yourself with a compassion you might not have known you deserved. Then there's the deeper, often overlooked layer of identity. As you age, the roles that once defined you begin to shift or fall away entirely. You're no longer the parent of young children, shuttling them to soccer practice or helping with homework. You're no longer climbing the corporate ladder, chasing promotions, or navigating office politics. Perhaps you've retired, or maybe you've pivoted to a lifestyle that feels more aligned with your values. These changes in identity inevitably reshape your social landscape. The people you once bonded with, fellow parents, co-workers, younger relatives, may no longer feel as connected to you. Not because of any failing on your part, but because your lives no longer run parallel. Your rhythms diverge, your priorities shift, and the common ground you once shared begins to erode. This can feel like a loss, but it's also an opportunity. Letting go of connections that no longer resonate isn't abandonment. It's an act of trust in the natural ebb and flow of relationships. You're not meant to cling to every bond forever. Releasing what no longer serves you can be one of the healthiest, most liberating choices you make. In the space you create by letting go, you begin to cultivate something richer, something more aligned with your soul's quiet cravings. Those solitary mornings with a cup of coffee, uninterrupted by the need to perform or please. The phone call with the one person who truly understands you, where words flow without pretense. The long walk where you're free to simply be, without an audience or an agenda. These moments, once dismissed as mundane, become sacred. You start to prioritize depth over distraction, meaning over stimulation, substance over noise. This isn't about rejecting people. It's about refining your circle, curating a life that feels true to who you are now, not who you were decades ago. The process can feel lonely at first, especially when others don't understand. They might say, "You used to be so outgoing," or "Why don't you come out anymore?" And you might fumble for a response, because how do you distill a lifetime of quiet revelations into a single sentence? The truth is, you don't owe them an explanation. You've earned the right to retreat into your peace without guilt or apology. Here's something remarkable. This shift toward simplicity and authenticity doesn't just feel good, it can extend your life. Research consistently shows that reducing stress and prioritizing emotional well-being are critical to longevity. When you step away from toxic dynamics, limit exposure to overwhelming environments, and choose serenity over obligation, you're not retreating, you're healing. You're conserving energy for what truly matters, whether that's nurturing meaningful relationships, pursuing quiet passions, or simply savoring the stillness of a life well lived. Your body feels the difference. Your mind feels it too. That's why so many elders exude a quiet calm, a grounded presence that younger generations often envy. They've stopped chasing approval, stopped trying to fix what's broken, and stopped performing for an audience that never truly saw them. They move more slowly, but their minds are unburdened. They speak less, but their words carry weight. They're not running from connection. They're running toward themselves, toward the version of themselves they were too busy to meet in their youth. There's a saying often attributed to age and wisdom. As I grow older, I pay less attention to what people say. I just watch what they do. This encapsulates the essence of this transformation. Aging teaches you to observe more and react less. You no longer feel the need to prove your worth or chase the validation of those who never understood you. You choose peace over pride, solitude over forced connection, truth over tradition. And in that choice, you find a quiet joy that can't be manufactured or mimicked. Here's the beautiful paradox. When you stop needing people to fill your life, the right ones begin to appear. When you stop begging for connection, you start attracting it effortlessly. Conversations flow without force. Companionship arrives without a schedule. The people who stay, the ones who love the quieter, truer version of you, are priceless. They don't need you to show up to every event or play a role. They cherish you for who you are, not who you used to be. And in their presence, you realize that this journey, toward simplicity, toward authenticity, toward yourself, was never about loss. It was about arrival. So, if you find yourself pulling back, saying no more often, savoring the quiet, don't second-guess it. Don't let the world convince you that something's wrong. You're not fading, you're flourishing. You're shedding what no longer serves you, peeling back the layers to reveal the person you were always meant to be. An empty calendar isn't a sign of loneliness. It's a canvas for peace. A silent phone isn't rejection. It's space for clarity. An afternoon spent doing nothing, with a heart full of contentment, isn't wasted time. It's a triumph. This is what it feels like when your life finally fits, when you step into the rhythm of your becoming. This is what it means to bloom. Wow, we've just explored the profound reasons why craving solitude as you age is not only normal but a powerful sign of growth, wisdom, and self-love. From shedding emotional noise to prioritizing peace, these shifts are your soul's way of guiding you toward a life that truly fits. So, what have you learned from this journey? What's one insight that resonated with you, and how will you bring it into practice in your life? Drop a comment below and share your thoughts. We'd love to hear from you. If you like this video, please leave your comment below, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel for more soul-deep stories and real talk that honors the peace you've earned.